rear end dance from white line to white line, and I'm like, yes, I have my powers back. Jump in this thing and see what it'll do.
Ready to rock this, bro?
Oh, hell yeah. Yep, Patina, one of my most prized Chargers, actually prized cars, period. This is a 69 Charger, and there was an initial build series on this car. Like if you go way back in the day on all my videos, you'll see the build series on this car. But it has undergone many different transformations, you know, and it was an automatic on the column. Now it's a 6-speed with wheelwood pedal assembly. You know, it's got road racing seats in it. It's got racing suspension. It's got doors that don't close all the way. What the hell? You mother... There. Doors that need adjusted. This car has been neglected. It has no motor, which it used to have a really badass 489 stroker in it off of the original Numbers 383. There's a rant video, if you go back and look at it, on how the throttle body injection screwed my engine up. Yep. What it was reading on the gauge was not what the engine was actually getting O2 wise, and so it yeah, washed out the cylinder walls and made it to where it just smoked. I mean, garbage. So I ripped all that crap out, made it carbureted for a while, which was way better. So I mean, this thing drove way better with a carburetor. But then I wanted to upgrade the lifters in it, because this had some just hydraulic roller lifters in it, and they were so freaking noisy, man. It always sounded like the engine was gonna blow up at high RPM. It was always just like, ugh. They're so damn noisy. And so I bought a set of like Morel lifters for it, and they were like $1,300, and I had to wait almost a year to get them. So when I finally got them, I pulled the intake off and saw all the oil that was caked in the intake runners. And so then I'm like, you know what, let's just pull the motor out. And that's when I found that the cylinder walls were basically like glass. And so it has been sitting for about a year and a half, Derek. Yeah, about a year and a half. And today it is going to get its rebuilt engine back in it. Yep, I took the block apart, had it rehoned, new rings, and it has the Morel lifters in it. And plus I've done some other goodies to it. Let's go check it out. Oh yeah. Patina 489 stroker. This thing is easily like 620, 630 horse. 11-to-1 compression, trick flow heads, hydraulic roller cam with those Morel lifters, roller rockers. I'm actually gonna pull these roller rockers off, because these are like the steel rockers. I'm gonna put some Harlem Sharps on it, because I've been doing a lot of things to lighten the weight on this car, even down to putting a GM power steering pump on it with aluminum power steering pump brackets. And oh, and I got rid of them ugly ass hoses that went way up, and I welded some bungs to some fittings and made it to where it's just a nice 90-degree. It'll be all barbed and tucked down. And I hated it when I would pop. You have this badass looking motor, NASCAR air cleaner, cold air intake, all that shit. Super cool looking, but as soon as you pop the hood, the first thing your eyes went to was that ugly ass Sandon AC compressor. So I had modified some brackets and just some scrap steel I had, and made some brackets to put that sucker down there and get it out of the eyesight. And so that way you won't have to look at these ugly ass AC hoses sprawled out. This big old honking ugly AC compressor there. Now it's tucked down low, and my AC lines will be much shorter just going from here to here. All around, more betters. Let's get this damn thing in the car. From its engine stand tomb. Patina's gonna get her motor back today. Oh yeah. Derek, how's your painting skills? You got your, can you stay inside the lines in a coloring book? Better than Mike Delph's? Alright. So what you may not know is on Patina's engine I had done a bunch of light weightening. So we had drilled out the motor mounts. You can see they're all scalloped and Swiss cheesed out. I cut off the extra ear that was on the block on both sides, so that needs to get painted up. I put the AC compressor down low and got rid of the steel brackets that was holding it up high. So that's a lower center of gravity, and you won't have to look at that ugly ass compressor sitting right there. We've got, like I said earlier, the GM power steering with the aluminum brackets. We had even drilled out the K-frame, Swiss cheesed it. Well, not really Swiss cheesed it, just lightened up a little bit, and all of that literally did like 1 pound. So I was like, yeah, we don't need to do any more, because if we could really hog that thing out and get 2 pounds. But oh, so Derek, this paint marker, I want you to go ahead and paint up all the areas that were drilled out, so that way it doesn't rust. You know what I'm talking about? And then on the block, you're gonna paint up all the bare metal spots. So there's 2 ears on both sides. See, I had also lightened the crap out of the bell housing. So all this work, I drilled all that out, and then I scalloped the bell housing mounting surface area. I think I saved 4 pounds. That was a lot of work for 4 pounds, but I also got rid of the mid plate, which was probably 4 pounds on its own, and all that extra hardware, so we're saving quite a bit. Like I said, I want to get this car. This is a fully dynamoted AC 6-speed big block. You know, I want this car to be down to like 3,400 pounds. I'm hoping we'll get there. Got to get all the rust off the flywheel and the mid plate and the pressure plate, because it freaking rained in the trunk and so humid, everything kind of rusted up a little bit. So the reason I was having to weld that motor mount up is I have bought this motor mount before. Of course, I won't buy these anymore now that I know what is wrong with them. But they advertise this as like a non-breakable motor mount because it has these, you know, Allen countersunk bolts that go through the bottom plate up to the top plate. But that top plate is only like an 1/8 inch thick maybe, and all these guys did that make this is they just buy these by the, you know, probably just buy these from Rock Auto for $6 a piece, and all they do is drill them and thread them and put that bolt in there. Well, when that top plate is only freaking like an 1/8 inch, how much thread do you think you're gonna freaking get? And of course, when you got big horsey powers, it just rips those studs, or rips those countersunk bolts right out of the top plate. So trying to thunk ahead of time, I went ahead and welded them in. I wasn't gonna buy new motor mounts, but at least I improved their crappy work. Yeah, in case you guys didn't notice in the background, I had done stepped up my game. I have big boy tools now. I have always wanted like brand name tools, but every time I got a couple of dollars in my pocket, I'm like, ooh, what kind of speed parts can I buy? But after throwing so many tools because they're just pieces of shit, luckily an Instagram follower was a Cornwell dealer, and he hit me up to sponsor the Super Bee, and I was like, you know what? I would love to just buy tools from you. And so I did. Look, I got all kinds of goodies. I still have more tools coming. But he hooked me up. No, I didn't get the stuff free. I bought it. People have to make a living too. But at least I have real freaking tools, and I'm proud to have them. And when you pay for them, you kind of respect them a little bit more as they're sitting on the ground. But I do clean them up every time I put them away now. But motor mount's repaired, time to bolt it on. Oh wait, where'd the bracket go? I'm just trying to make sure the spacing between my throwout bearing and the fingers on the pressure plate is good. You want like at least 125 thousandths. And I had removed the mid plate, which weighed like 4 to 5 pounds. So I'm just trying to get a number here. And I will zero that and compare that to this. So I think anywhere between 125 and 150, I believe is fine. I forgot, but I believe that was the number. 142. So pretty sure that's okay. I'm gonna have to double check, but I'm pretty sure that's okay. The throwout bearing adjustment was right on the money. So go ahead and grab the back of that thing. And I probably got just a slight misalignment on the clutch discs. So I'm having to force it in, but by force it, I mean super gently. If I can't get it in just by wrist tight, then something is wrong. So if I can't suck it in just like this, which it's going in now. See, I can't put enough torque on with my wrist that it'll actually break anything, so I think we're good. Well, I'm glad it went in real easy, because that's just good practice. Because I forgot to put the throwout bearing in. Dumbass. Should I go on? Come in a little bit. Stop, 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 stop. Alright, down. Bolt. Gone. So yesterday's engine install was a bust. Yeah, with the road course oil pan and the T56 Magnum, it didn't exactly want to go in. Even the camera ran out of battery anyway, so it died middle of the engine trying to go in. But yeah, it was not going to go in. The road course oil pans have kickouts, and it was hitting the K-frame where the motor mounts go, and it just wasn't happening. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll just do it how I normally do it then. And which you guys may or may not have seen these. These are some brackets that I had made that they slip up onto the bottom of the frame rail. Actually, here, I'll show you. It's got my little hook there. Actually, you can see on my hoist here, I got 2 chains, I got 2 hooks, I got 1 center bracket. I have the tires, the rear wheels, strapped to some wheel dollies. Or not wheel dollies, but wheel ramps. So that tire can't rock either way. It's strapped down to it on both sides. And yeah, you may have guessed it, I use the hoist to pick the front end up way in the air, and then I'll drop the suspension onto my little dolly that I had made there a while ago. And then I bring it over here, lift the engine up, drop that on the dolly, and then the engine and transmission will go back under the car. It's so much easier to do it this way anyway, because then you can put all the accessories on it, you can put the headers on it, the transmission. I mean, you can fully dress the entire engine this way. So I tried to do a shortcut, wasn't working, so we're just gonna go back to the normal way I do it. So you got this hole here. That's an original hole. It's just a locating hole, I guess, from when they were assembling the cars on the assembly line. I just slip that guy up in there. Clang, clang, and pump it up. One thing I should note too is to get the K-frame out with all the suspension, you just unbolt the steering column and just slide it back a couple inches, undo the top of the shocks, and then you pull your torsion bars back, undo your brake lines on the calipers. That's be it. Rise. Command you up in the air. There we go. Pull these guys out the way. Slide the little dolly in place.
What's not? He's got this old boy scratching his head. 'Cause it ain't worth the living if it ain't family tradition. Might as well settle down with all my rowdy friends. So don't hand me no lines, give me that homemade wine. Crank me up some rambling man. We live it big, we like it loud. Whiskey man, hell
It has been way too long for Patina to not have an engine. So glad to see its drivetrain back in it. And this is the numbers block. Stroked to a 489, trick flow heads, roller cam. Oh, this thing makes some ponies. And now it's gonna look so much like, you wouldn't even know this car has AC now, because that ugly ass honking compressor is down there. So now when you walk up to the car with the hood open, it's just like, oh yeah, race car. So much better. Oh, there's gonna be a lot of nutting and bolting and adding things, and I'm gonna go with a different radiator because I was not happy with the radiator that was in this thing. Oh, you can see my cold air ducts right there. So my NASCAR air cleaner, which had 2 tubes that went over to there, and it got air from the cowl then into the engine, because the car no longer gets cowl pressure. So that's vintage air, it's all recirc. Oh man. Yeah, trying to put it in through the top, we messed up my freaking paint. Oh well, I'll touch that up. I got some touch up. Yeah, just got to bolt all my suspension and brakes, and then Patina will be a rolling car. Oh, it won't be a rolling steering car yet, because I still got to bolt the steering column back up to the box. That's a quickie though. But I'm going to do that in the morning when it's nice and cool. It's kind of winding down today. It's Sunday. I've got family things I got to do. So, butting it up, putting tools away, and then go inside, eat, play with Henry, watch TV, and go to bed. And I've got a long day tomorrow. So, yep, still looks the same under the hood. Still don't have a carburetor on it. Still don't have a radiator in it. Air cleaner. None of that. Not too much has changed under the hood. Although there is a coil that I found in the parts room just sitting on top of the engine for now. I have made progress though. I have figured out my AC hoses. So those are actually at the hose, or all hose, getting new hoses made for that. Much shorter, way out of the way. I keep thinking I removed the AC system because I'm not having to look at that big old ugly honking AC compressor no more. Now it's down there, down low, out of the way. So now we just get to see the cool horsepower stuff. But I got the pipes exhaust back on the thing. Yep, these are pipes turbo mufflers, which this is what I built on this car years ago, with the whole stainless exhaust, all the bends, the X pipe I made myself, and the bitchin' side pipes. Yeah, you gotta have side exit exhaust on racing cars, right? Not exactly racing car, but daily driving racing car. I've got the shifter bolted back on, got a few little things buttoned up inside the car. We've even went ahead and used up my whole bag of 5/16 titanium bolts. So anywhere in the car that had a 5/16 bolt, we went ahead and replaced them. So all the steering column bolts, the hell, anywhere. There's one right there. The trunk latch, the brackets up there. Let's see, and then mostly the front clip. So yeah, they're actually kind of cool looking too, because they got the countersunk head and just the titanium color. So yeah, we went ahead and replaced all of that. Would I suggest it? No, because it was like $200 for a bag of titanium bolts. I think there was like 50 maybe. Yeah, it maybe saved 2 pounds. Totally not worth it. What would be worth it though is a lithium battery, because that will save like 30 pounds for $1,000. So if you do the math on weight versus gain, or weight versus cost, the lithium battery is worth way more than those titanium bolts were. Same thing with the aluminum third member case. It's like $1,100 for an aluminum third member case, but it saves you 11 pounds. Still worth more than the titanium bolts. Speaking of weight savings, I got my drive shaft back from Dan's Driveline. They went ahead and double checked the balance on it, and it came out good. So they made that for me, again, a couple years ago. What I'm actually doing right now, because I need to get the car rolling so I can get it out of the way, because the car is blocking the only way in and out of the backyard. But before I get it rolling, I want to do my upgraded ball joint drop brackets. Yep, so I designed and had my buddy make these for me. So this will drop the lower ball joint 1.5 inches, which will fix a lot of the geometry issues. And see, I was having to shave the bump stops down because with lowered ride height cars, you're pretty much touching the bump stop at ride height. And what happens is when the bump stop gets loaded, well, it puts so much load on the turning tire that the car just goes into a push. And so by using the bump stop bracket, it'll actually lower the lower control arm, giving you more space from the bump stop. And then I will have more travel with airplane. I'll have more travel with a lowered car. That's just one of the side gains. The biggest gain is the geometry issues. It's going to fix the lower control arm geometry issues. It's going to raise the roll center, which will reduce the body roll with the roll couple. And between the center of gravity and the roll center, that's called the roll couple. Mopars have high center of gravity, so you need to raise the roll center up so that way your roll couple is not a huge difference and it creates body roll. Then I can get rid of this massive sway bar and the thing will have much more mid-corner speed. So I'm going to go ahead and install this doohickey and make it most betters. Yep, this is the ball joint bracket. So there's two different bolt patterns on here. The rear one, that is a larger bolt pattern than the front. You want the larger bolt pattern facing the rear of the car, because what that does is it takes away some of the bump steer issues that these cars have for you. Let's go ahead and slip this guy on. That's it. That's literally all you got to do. Bolt it in place. Now, there are some things you might have to grind. Because not every single one of these castings is exactly the same. And if you notice, of course, this is the first generation of brackets I've made. Now the next the revised one, we'll just go ahead and open that up a little bit more, so you guys wouldn't even have to scallop this. But I had to scallop this, knife edge it, whatever you want to call it, a little bit, and then you might have to grind away a little bit here, depending on your rotor spacing. Now, this setup is entirely different than what you guys will have. These rotors are 1.25 inches thick. This is something that I had made fit the car. These are some old NASCAR rotors that I had, and luckily the bolt pattern was the same, and so I put these on the Willwood hubs, and then I'm running my old Circle Track, you know, NASCAR Super Late Model brake calipers, because they have much wider brake pads and the calipers are just super heavy duty. So I have had to trim a little bit off of the side just because of the thicker rotor. You guys that have, you know, 1-inch rotors or 0.810 rotors, you're not gonna have to worry about it. But just in case, you might have to grind some of the gusset off of the side just to allow for caliper clearance. All right, we're gonna go ahead and slip the bracket on and then put this guy back in place here. Come on, where's the hole? There it is. And then once you get this guy slipped in place, you have to slip 1 7/16 washer behind the bolt before it goes into the drop bracket. So it just goes right in between the spindle and the bracket, because there is a difference in spacing from the big bolt to the small bolt, and it's actually just that thickness, and these come with the kit. Now we can go ahead and start getting our 5/8 bolts in place. And there's no washers on the back side of these, so go ahead and throw a nut on that guy. Go ahead and throw the old nut back on the other one. The correct torque spec is good and tight. All right, now we can slip our bolts that now hold the ball joint. That's it. You're done. Then you just got to put your rotor back on. Oh yeah, one-handed like a boss. To get the washer on there. Come on. GoPro Jedi here. Ah, there we go. Get the nut on. Tighten all that back up. Put your brake caliper back on. And you've officially been ball joint dropped. Racing car, yeah. I likes it. Ah, Patina, we gonna hit the racetrack. I love this car. This car is so badass. Everything that's been done to it. And you last saw me put the motor in it, but that was like, I want to say over a month ago, probably even more. It's just, I worked on it when I could, and in the summertime, yeah, this is where it was sitting. It sucked. Come out here early in the morning, work on it till you start sweating your ass off. And then you just have to push it, and you know, just have to forget about it and do something else for a while because it's just too damn hot. But Patina is a running, driving car. I just got done roughing out the alignment because I want to take it down for its first bath in like almost 2 years. This car's been down almost 2 years, and so it needs it. Like the taillights is dirty. Chargers look hideous when the taillights are all dusty. So gonna clean all that up, and wheels. I got these bitchin' deep dish Daisy Mag wheels, but they're all filthy. Got dog pee, dirt, everything imaginable all over them. So Patina's got to get pretty looking again. This thing sounds amazing. And the Morel lifters, there's a few things that I've been banging my head up against the wall with on this car ever since I got it fired up. One, the lifters that I put in this thing, they're a Morel high RPM, high tolerance hydraulic roller. Well, this car always had like 45, 50 pounds of oil pressure hot at idle. And we're talking like 850 RPM, maybe 900. Well, when I put those lifters in, it only has about 15 to 18 PSI hot at that same RPM. And you know, and I'm thinking to myself, oh shit, what did I do wrong? What, did I miss a plug? But if I missed a plug, it wouldn't have any oil pressure. And so I'm like freaking out a little bit. I'm like, crap, I do not want to pull this motor back out. I did some research and found out that other guys were having the same issue with those lifters. So then I contact Howard's Cam, which was, you know, the rep that, you know, would contact Morel for me, Luke at Howard's. And he told him my issue, low oil pressure at, you know, this RPM. And Morel basically got back to him and said, tell him to quit being a bitch and just raise the idle. I was like, he's fine. And then I found a YouTube video that showed how much oil loss you lose, or how much oil pressure you lose due to a bushed oil-fed axle on the lifters. So these are bushed lifters, and they're not needle bearing. And there's a galley that's drilled in from the body down to the axle, and it was just gushing oil out the sides of the roller. So multiply that by 16, and that's where my oil pressure went. But if I even just crack the throttle, like 200 RPM, the oil pressure is 40. And then at 2000 RPM, I have like 70 pounds of oil pressure. So I'm good, I'm fine. It's just, I had to get used to that oil loss from those lifters. I didn't like it, but I'll tolerate it. The AC works, it's all charged. I got my AC compressor down there. I made brackets for it to move it down there. And then I have a GM aluminum power steering pump. So I'm I've been trying to lighten this car, and so I made brackets in aluminum and put that aluminum power steering pump. The only thing is, I believe that pump has too much pressure, because even just driving around the neighborhood a couple laps, I pull in and the power steering fluid is hot. Like, not quite as hot as the radiator, but it is hot. And I'm just tootling around the neighborhood. So imagine if I was putting the thing under a load. So I'm either gonna have to put a cooler on this thing, but it also does need to drop the pressure down, and maybe even put a larger pulley on that pump, because this has the AC pulley system on it, which has a massive crankshaft pulley. And so that power steering pump is really being overdriven. So I think I'm gonna have to find a larger power steering pump to slow that thing down and drop the pressure. I never fixed the issue with the transmission, so I lost my third gear synchro. So going into third gear, it'll kind of, you know, just a quick second, grind gear for like microsecond. But I was so eager to get the car back together, I never bothered taking the transmission apart and fixing that, so it still has that issue. I have removed the airbag shocks in the back, and we got double adjustables in the back now. I got the Willwood brakes on here from my old Circle Track car, but these need to get bed in. These are the old pads, old calipers, and on the other side, you can see it. Only like, yeah, only like probably 30% of the brake pad is even on the rotor. So definitely gonna have to get bed in. This carburetor needs to be tuned to this engine. I've got the idle circuitry okay, and it seems to drive around the neighborhood good, but I know this carburetor needs to be tuned. It's probably a little on the fat side, or hell, it could even be on the lean side. When I first fired it, and after I let it run for a while, I would snap the throttle, because, you know, that's what you do. Wah, wah. You know, it sounds cool, right? And there was a hesitation when the secondaries would open up, and this carburetor had a block off plate for the rear power valve, and I thought, I don't know, all my carburetors that I've done, they've all got rear power valves, and so I put rear power valve in it, readjusted the jetting a little bit, and even just with the snap of the throttle, it sounds smoother. You know, it doesn't so then I'm going to tune it from that point. But as of right now, less talking, more washing. Come on, Patina. Don't break down. Luckily, it's only like quarter mile, yeah, maybe 3/8 of a mile to the car wash. All right, here we go. Ah, it sounds so good. Yeah. Oh, I need to adjust that starter though. It's a little tight on the ring gear, so I need to slide the starter away from the ring gear because it's a little noisy. But yeah, listen to this thing. Tell you what though, those Morel lifters that are in that motor, they quieted down my whole valve train. That was the whole reason for putting those high RPM lifters in there. Was this is not a really big cam, but it's short duration with, you know, medium lift, like 575 lift, but the duration is short, so it has a lot of ramp speed, and the lifters that came with the cam, they couldn't keep up with the ramp speed, and they were so freaking noisy. It was annoying, and plus it was probably losing profile of the cam by the lobe snapping that lifter open and losing its plunge. But now the engine is so quiet, and all I have to listen to is that sweet exhaust note. Now you can hear that freaking power steering pump. Annoying. Oh yeah. gas like now? Yeah, this thing is running super lean, like deadly lean. It wouldn't even accelerate. So that's gonna need some tunage. Yeah, I have a new AFR gauge, and we're gonna have to put that thing on this car like immediately. That was pathetic, but it was so deadly lean. It probably was like 18 AFR. Actually, it probably wouldn't run in that lean, but it was up there, like would not accelerate. All right, I'd spent the last, day just diagnosing things. I have no brake lights because the brake light switch took a shit. My fuel filter I was having tuning issues, like wide open throttle, the thing would just fall on its face and just like lean detonate. I double checked the timing, everything is all good. Couldn't find out. The car had been sitting for a year and a half. In that year and a half, modern gas killed the fuel pump and completely clogged the fuel filter. Like, the fuel pump has pressure, but the problem is it has no flow. So we'll go ahead and turn the key on now, and this is a 600 horsepower EFI pump. That, however, does not look like 600 horsepower worth of flow. So probably what had happened, the gas killed seals inside the pump. My dumbass, however, I'm thinking this is a carburetor issue, and I'm like, why the hell is this thing just not, because this carburetor was on 2 different other cars and it ran like ass. So, and I never really spent the time to tune it that well because, again, it was just for YouTube. All I had to do was run. I'm getting back in the AC. I just got one of those mini split units, so it's like, it's nice and cool in here. It's 110 out there. So when you walk from the outside into here, it's like you just stepped into a pool. It's nice. But long story short, I thought the issue was just fuel filter. Fix the fuel filter, go for another drive. It's hardly any better. So then I hooked up my fuel pressure gauge because it wasn't hooked up. And yeah, I mean, just cruising down the road, I was losing fuel pressure. And if I even laid into it, it was just zero, red lights on. Hey dummy, you got issues. Hey dummy, you got issues. So obviously you saw the fuel flow. Now I'm gonna have to replace the fuel pump. Luckily, I have one right here. It is a Walbro, made in USA. Now I gotta jack it up and pull the tank. It's not really a bitch, but so inconvenient when all I want to do is drive it. All right, let's see what we got now. Tank was dropped, pump was replaced. I'm sweaty and sticky and dirty. All right, key on. Let's see what kind of fuel flow we got this time. That's better. Take that pressure. All right. It's actually 7 pounds. That was a lot more accurate. And when that gets to 0, or like 1 psi, it flashes that red light. Just listen to this thing. I hope my fuel issue's fixed now. Let's take it out. Got the AC going. Oh, feels so good to be back behind the wheel of this car though. Man, it's been 2 years. And in 2 years, my gas went to shit. In a sealed fuel system. Actually, I guess I can't say that because a factory gas cap is vented. And you are going to hear these brakes squeal like a mofo, because these are the actual brakes, or the pads that were in my race car. And they are not meant for the street. Turn the AC off. Still feels like a slug. Pressure, but man, it's not running like it should. It feels like a pig. This thing should have just obliterated the tires right there. Pressure, but I just don't have any power. I'm a dumbass. So the reason I couldn't get Patina to make any freaking power, and the reason it was detonating under power, and the reason it was dieseling so hard when I would shut it off is I'm a dumbass. So long story short, there was nothing wrong with carburation. Okay, I did lose the fuel pump. Actually, I didn't lose it. It was getting weak, and we put a new one in it. The fuel filter was clogged. So everything I was thinking of why it wasn't making any power and detonating lean. Now, and I even did a high-speed video of me wrapping the throttle and seeing that it wasn't, I could see it had, it wasn't drawing as much fuel through the secondaries. So I'm thinking there's something wrong with the rear metering block. Well, after throwing as much jet to it as physically possible, and then throwing another carburetor on it, I came to the realization that, maybe there was an error onto my end when I put the motor together. And there was. I had called Dulcich, and Dulcich told me, put the number 1 rockers in the middle of their overlap. So when the intake is halfway down, the exhaust is halfway down, right in the middle of their overlap, and see where the marker's at on your balancer. Because after talking, I told him, I hope I don't have this thing a tooth off, but how could I? Because I set it dot to dot back to what the engine was before. Because before it was 109 dot to dot, I degreed it. And so when I put the new timing chain on this engine, after fixing the cylinder washout, getting it rehoned from the crappy fuel injection, I just put it back dot to dot because I knew it was 109. Well, after checking my marker and doing what Dulcich said, he said if you did install it at 109, the balancer will indicate 0 on the timing tab, or the timing indicator. And I'm like, okay. No, I had like 120 plus. It was like 122, 123, something like that. And Dulcich's like, holy crap, you're like a tooth off, dude. I'm like, how in the hell did that happen when I had it dot to dot? So I tore the whole front of the engine apart. You know, I did that 2 days ago. I've been so busy and doing other things that, you know, I work on this when I can. That's why it's hard to film, is because I can only do my stuff when I can right now. Anyway, ripped it all apart, and guess what I found? It was dot to dot. And I'm like, how the hell could this thing be a tooth off if it's dot to dot? Well, here's where I foobarred. I must have put it 2 degrees, I had it 2 degrees advanced on the keyway. So there's multiple keyways, you know, A2, A4, A6, which is advanced 2, 4, 6. Well, I didn't realize, or I had forgotten, because the motor was a slow process putting it together. I work on it for a little bit and come back like a week later or whatever. Well, I must have put the crank sprocket on at A2 and then come back like a week later, forgetting that I wanted to advance it 2 degrees, and I just put it dot to dot, 0, 0. So that's how I screwed up. Put the engine all back together, took it out for a test drive with the carburetor back to the way it was, put my foot to the floor, and this sucker boots, scoot, and boogie and hauls ass again. I'm like, yeah! First gear, completely pointless. Second gear, completely pointless. And I'm like, yes! I have my powers back. But you might wonder, why is the front end up in the air? And it is not mechanical, it is suspension this time. Don't worry, you'll get to go for a ride now that's all shitting and getting and kicking ass again. But right now, it is sway bar time. So, that's the sway bar that was in Patina. It's an 1 3/8" bar. Now, I had bought that bar years ago, and with the mindset of, you know, it is a big block, it's this and that, it's heavy, you know, there's a high center of gravity, and I'm okay, we just need to put a big sway bar in it. I don't like running the bushing sway bar links. I always put Heim links on there because it gives you a more accurate sway bar. But I do leave the bushings on the sway bar because, again, it's a street car. You know, it doesn't need to ride like ass, which is why you do not need big torsion bars. So now that Patina has those ball joint drop brackets and Patina cuts freaking hard. That thing turns like a mofo, and it pretty much has no body roll. Like, it doesn't, for no front sway bar right now, and y'all take an off ramp or a sharp turn wherever, that sucker just cuts, and there's really minimal body roll. Those drop brackets are doing their job. The improved roll center is fighting the body roll and allowing the suspension to do its job instead of just binding up the suspension with a massive sway bar. Now, sway bars are beneficial though, to an extent. You only need as much as you need. So just because somebody says, oh, you buy the biggest sway bar that you can find and you bolt it on there, no. Because then it rides like shit. And if you're on a, say, the highway or a public road, whatever, and there's differences in right and left heights or dips in the road, and of course your right front tire, left front tire, they're going to go up and down at different increments. Well, the sway bar, if it's really stiff, it's going to ride like shit because it's not allowing the suspension to follow the dips from side to side. Now, if you're just hitting, like, say, whoops, where the dip is even from left to right, then the sway bar doesn't really have an effect because it's just going up and down with the suspension travel evenly. But if there's difference in road elevation from right to left, then it's just binding up the sway bar and handles like shit. And if you're going up a driveway at an angle and you have a big sway bar, you can actually feel it bind the chassis up. And I don't like that. Big sway bars, you only go as big as you need to. You don't just go throw a massive one on it because that's what people think you need. No. Here is an 1.1/8" bar. Now, I had 1 3/8", hated it. Now, this is where some people get confused on big torsion bars and big sway bars. If you just jerk the steering wheel real quick, well, because the sway bar is so thick and the torsion bars are so stiff, the car will react faster. Now, there's a difference between reacting and actually handling. Now, because the car reacts faster, because there's no delay in weight transfer. If you have softer springs or a softer sway bar, there's a little momentary delay in the weight transfer, then it loads the tire and turns. If it's big torsion bars, big sway bar, that delay is minimized, and so the car cuts faster. But then once the car sets in the middle of the corner, there's way too much load on, say, if you're doing a left-hand turn, the right front tire, we'll call that the turning tire, the one that gets the most load. Your turning tire is loaded so hard that the left front tire is useless. It's not doing anything, and it's not allowing the inside rear tire to unload to help the car rotate. So right in the middle of the corner, the car just develops a push. Well, the way most guys fix that is they put a 200 tread wear sticky tire on it, and tires fix a lot of handling issues. You know, and on the autocrosses, you're not actually really feeling how the car handles because it's flat pavement. The turns are, most autocrosses, they're hairpin turns. I mean, there really is no middle of the corner. So the apex is so minimal. As long as you can throw it in there and it reacts, well, hell, the turn's pretty much already over. But if you go to a road course with your big torsion bars, your big sway bars, you might as well just get used to going like this and the car still going straight. So autocrosses, they're such hairpin corners, you can really just manhandle the car to get it to what you want it to do. But if you actually hit a real road course where the turns are big and sweeping and fast, you're gonna find you don't need all those big heavy torsion bars and sway bars. Anyways, so I've got my smaller sway bar, 1.1/8". A factory, I believe, is 7/8", and I may end up going down to 7/8 bar. But I'm gonna try the 1.1/8 bar. It's a 1/4 inch smaller than the 1 3/8", obviously. Here's my problem though. So this bar is lighter than my 1.1/8 bar because this is a solid bar. This thing is solid. That is hollow. Now, you might be thinking, well, since it's solid, it's going to have more tension than the 1 3/8", which not necessarily, because mostly with sway bars and torsions, the OD is more important than the ID. And so, because the 1.1/8 has a smaller OD, it technically is lighter than a hollow 1 3/8". That thing rode like shit. I'm hoping this is better. If it's not, I will go even smaller. I'm saying this is all trial and error stuff. And another thing with Patina, now that it has those ball joint drop brackets, and I'm no longer like just kissing the frame rail with the bump stops, now it's got, you know, like a good 1.25 inch gap. It rides so nice. All right, so just those sway bar arms weigh 8.4 pounds. That's a lot. Let's see what this full stick of Molly weighs. 2.6. And I'm not even going to end up using the full length of that. So that right there is, let's just say 6 pounds cut off the nose. Now to make that tubing match to the sway bar with the bends, I need to grind away the paint that's on the sway bar so then I can start getting my sway bar all welded up. Get these boat anchors out of the way. There we go. And get to grinding. I was gonna TIG weld everything, but I ran out of straight argon, so I have resorted to MIG welding. I got a new MIG welder now. I got like a big boy MIG welder. Finally got myself a real miller. Yeah, I got it used off Marketplace, but it works good. I just realized, finally opening the box all the way for the sway bar parts, this is the bolt-on bracket they gave me, and look how crude this thing is. It's a flat plate with way too much metal on it that it needs to be. And then to get the angle of the dangle, they just put a rod in there and then weld it over the rod to get the additional height that they need. And this thing weighs way too much. Like, the pair of these is 3.14 pounds. I don't need that. That is just stupid. And it's really crude looking, like ugly. So I am just going to make some lightweight chassis mount out of this rusty, crusty piece of metal that I had sitting in the backyard, but it will be way lighter and actually look most betters. And probably just go ahead and set it up to where it welds right to the K-frame, because this has, you know, this style of sway bar bushing, and if I want to go to even smaller sway bar, all I got to do is just get a smaller diameter bushing for the inside, and so the mount can stay welded, and then this will just bolt right to that. So I don't need double bolt-on brackets for a sway bar. Just doing some test fitting right now, because I'm going to just weld brackets to the K-frame so it's ultra lighter and simpler. Don't have some big ol' honky ugly bracket that looks like it was used for constructing a building. Instead, simple, lightweight angle iron that I got it all mocked up. I just need to do a slight trimming on it and then sand down some of the powder coat and weld it in place, because my sway bar end links are straight up and down. As you can see on both sides, straight up and down, and then also side to side, which is what you want. The car at ride height, those links need to be straight up and down, and if you look, pretty much my sway bar is level too, so that way it has perfect rotation. Because if it starts down here and goes up, it's actually going to push the sway bar end link back. So with the suspension neutral, you kind of want the sway bar neutral, the end link neutral. That way everything is unbound. And if the suspension goes down and it's bound up a little bit, who cares? You're not even in that travel anyway. But right now, mucho buenos. So I'm going to go ahead and sand off some powder coats, pull the sway bar back off, cut my brackets a little bit just to remove those, you know, ounces that I don't need. And then we can get this thing burned in place, and then the sway bar will be done. So we're out here at the Speedway. No, we didn't rent it. They just happened to leave the gate open. So we snuck in, and from the aerial photo view, we could see that there was kind of a course laid out on the ground, but the police training have got cones laid out everywhere to where, you know, I don't want to move their cones to follow the full course because they've just got them scattered. So we're just going to do a couple turns. I want to test out the new sway bar. And I know I'm going to have to go down on the rear sway bar. I've got a big rear sway bar in it. And this is actually the type of rear sway bar I have in Patina right now. This is like a torsion style sway bar. This is a NASCAR setup. This is what the old Cup cars were using back in like, oh, the 2000s and early mid 2000s. Super lightweight. I mean, these things don't weigh anything. The one that's in the car right now is 5/8 of an inch. This is a 1/2 inch bar. This is a, I believe it was like 4/10 or like 3, or like just a hair over 3/8. And I know I need to go down on the sway bar because even just driving over here, the front end cuts so good. It cuts really good. And the rear sway bar in this car is way too big because I can feel it to where the front end cuts and starts to roll just a little bit. And the ass end is just rock solid. You actually feel it kind of hop a little bit because it's trying, the sway bar is so big, it's actually trying to lift the inner tire. And by going down on that, it will make it to where the car won't be so loose on corner exit. Right now at corner entry is like a mofo, and actually it's a fun drift car, but we're gonna try and tighten it up just a little bit on the exit with these. Of course, they're too much of a pain in the butt to install out here, so we're gonna test it, go home, probably put in the thin one, and then come back out here when it's even hotter and try it again. Now, there's a couple detriments that Patina does have right now. These tires are rock hard. The rear tires, it's got cracks all throughout the tread, sidewall, everything. But so do the front tires. So I'm like, you know what? It's a fair match. We'll go with it. And really, I'm just wanting to test out the feel, and we can't do any high-speed cornering here, but I just want to do some mid-corner speed, like probably 40, 50 mile an hour corner speeds, and just to feel out how Patina is handling. So I'm going to go ahead and jump in this thing, fire it up, and do my first turn with the rear sway bar hooked up. But there's a few things I need to do real quick. I want to check the ride heights, and I need to neutral the front sway bar that I put in it. So we're going to go ahead and check the ride heights, neutral the sway bar, and then hit the track. I got 22 and 7/8. And I got 20, close enough. It's like a 1/16 of an inch. Let me just feel if the sway bar is neutral. Oh yeah, there's no load in it. See that clinkety clatter? That means the sway bar doesn't have any load in it. If it was loaded, I wouldn't be able to do that. All right, now I can jump in. Ugh. Now it's already like 102, 103 degrees outside, so the asphalt's hot. So it's already going to be slick. I'm just wanting to test it out, you know. Oh, put my seatbelt on so I don't fall out of the seat. You know, because of all the G-forces. Alright. Well, I've got to find my line. They're really faint. Okay, here they are. Just going to burn the tires up. We'll try it in second gear. It's just hard to see the freaking corners. help it. I had to drift a little bit. Alright, let me just try slalom. Got kind of a push to it, which these tires are shot, asphalt's hot, but really it's not that bad.
Yeah, so it won't let me,
Oh, it'll lower it on. Get it? I don't know. Oh, no, the fan went into the radiator. See the fan?
yeah.
It went into the radiator. Oh, okay. You want to run down there and go get those tools? Well, that was a failure. The fan went into the radiator. So we're firing it up and coasting away. Basically told us, security showed up, basically told us get the hell out of here right now. So seeing as Patina is damaged, I can fire it up and move it for a little bit at a time. And we moved quite a ways. This thing rolls good. But the fan is in the radiator. Minty. And we're gonna have to pull the radiator out of the General. Damn it. Not the plans I had today. Patina, you're such a beast. You keep killing parts. Stop killing parts. I just want to drive you. Yeah, that kind of sucked. It could have been a lot worse, but still, it ruined my day. And now I have to order another radiator, and that is not the heavy duty flex fan. That's the standard one. And I'm like, you know what? It'll be fine. You know, they're made to flatten out, but no, that thing, it got so much flattenage that it cracked and split, and a couple of the blades just totally went into the radiator and killed it. So yeah, donezo. Didn't even get a chance to swap the rear sway bar. You know, I really need to put some better tires on this thing, because I mean, look at this. Look. Not only are they Barbie car tires, but they are cracked up Barbie car tires. So But for what it was and what we were driving on, this thing actually ripped pretty good. It cut pretty good. It had a little bit of understeer when you would first throw it in, but with tires this hard, you know, that's acceptable. And then, of course, with all the horsey powers, when I put my foot down, them Barbie tires wouldn't hold the traction. But I know if I put new sticky rubbers on this thing, this would be pretty damn good. I still want to put the smaller sway bar in it though, because even just driving around town and cutting corners and on ramps and all that stuff, I can feel that it has too big of a rear sway bar in it. So I'm going to put the smaller one in it, and then, because it's probably going to need that anyway when we put the stickier meats on it. And that just means the front tires are going to cut even harder. So need to allow the rear end to roll so it will not completely take the inside rear tire off the ground and load the turning right rear tire, or the tire that's taking most of the load. So we are going to pull the radiator out, and that's it, because until I get parts I can't do nothing. El piso shito. Have not broco. So I have not broken one of Darrell's heavy duty flex fans yet. I don't think I will though. They're a lot more stout. You can tell the support bracing extends way farther out along the blade, and the blade itself is a little bit more rigid than these are, so it's a little bit thicker material. And that was on the General, and we had robbed the radiator and fan from the General because, well, the General's broken right now. The motor's not broken, but the transmission is. I only have second gear. The rooster comb inside the transmission broke when I was on a road trip, and I had to drive all the way home in second gear. That's a whole different video though. But since the General is down right now, we went ahead and robbed the goodies from this to put into Patina, and then when the new goodies show up, we'll just put them back in here. That way Patina will be ready, not Patina, that way the General will be ready to go again. So I'm actually wanting to convert this to 5-speed, get rid of the automatic. You know, what's the point of having a manual valve body automatic and shifting gears every single time around town? You might as well just put a damn 5-speed in it and take advantage of the overdrive. So I have got a Passion 5-speed that I've been waiting to put into something, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and just do it in the General, because the General's a tow pig too, so we might as well just put an overdrive 5-speed behind it. Anyways, since the radiator is out of the General, I need to go ahead and weld these bungs onto that radiator, just like the radiator was in Patina, so that way my driver's side additional radiator in the fender gets its coolant flow. So I'm gonna go ahead and burn these in, so then I can put this radiator into Patina. I dug through my stash and I found a smaller crank pulley, so we cleaned it up and painted it, and this will actually lower the max RPM of the flex fan down about 1500 RPM. So that, it'll give me a little bit more belt wrap around everything too, because the AC crank pulley was so big that, you know, it took away a belt wrap from my AC compressor and my water pump. So now with the smaller one, we're talking tiny bit more belt wrap around the accessories. Like maybe 5%, but you know what, I'll take it. I'm gonna go ahead and get this guy bolted up, and then I can go ahead and put my radiator back in because it's all welded up now. See, I had made this whole shock tower setup a couple years ago to put that NASCAR sway bar on there, and I was gonna put air shocks on this thing, or like airbag shocks, because I was gonna tow with it. But then I was like, you know what? I'm trying to do too many things with this one car. I was like, we're gonna eliminate the bags and put some real double adjustable shocks on it. So I got, you know, some double adjustable shocks, which that's why I wanted that reinforced tower, is to have real shock rate and have the strength if I needed to for the airbags. Plus it makes a really good mount to put that NASCAR sway bar. I'm gonna go ahead and yank out the thicker one, which is right there, and put in the skinny one. Out with the fatty, in with the skinny. Well, you can definitely tell the difference in size from the old sway bar to the new sway bar. This will definitely give me more drive from center out, so I can hammer down. This is more drifty fun. This is faster. Faster, drifty fun. It's kind of a give and take. And I wish I could just swap them out really fast so I can have both funnage at the same time. Alright, so we got it on the ground. Now I just need to neutral the sway bar. And to make sure it's neutral, a little bit of bind. That's pretty free. That's freer. That's freest. Alright, right there. So we're gonna go and lock it down right there. So say the car was turning better to the left than it was the right, you can preload the sway bar in the direction that you want. So say you want to turn to the right better, well, you will preload it to where it puts more load on the left rear tire, so that way it makes it turn to the right better. So there's tricks and things you can do with sway bars to make them even besters. But I'm just trying to go for a neutral point, right and left, and if I need to preload either direction, I can then go from there. All right, I got the smaller sway bar in the car, in the rear. So need to take this thing out for a drive and see what it does. Not gonna go out to the speedway because they're gonna be looking for us this time. So we're just gonna hit a couple corners around the neighborhood. Well, not in the neighborhood, but you know, around the vicinity, and see how much more throttle I can actually give it. Now these rear tires, they're hard, crusty, and cracked up, but the car still stuck so good that it'll at least give me a comparison, and then I can't wait to get some real sticky meats on this thing. I'm trying to find some 200 treadwear tires for a 15-inch rim, but I think that's kind of a lost cause. I don't think I'm gonna find any. I've been searching, you know, all my toilet time I've been spending searching for 15-inch tires. Can't find any. I did find one company. It's a tire that's on the car right now, Vitors, or however you pronounce it. They do make a 15-inch 200 treadwear tire, but they're like this tall on the sidewall, and I'm like, yeah, that's gonna look so stupid. I can't do it. So let's fire this old girl up. Now you may hear what sounds like a lifter tick, but it's an exhaust leak. It's just, I threw some old copper header gaskets on this thing, or manifold gaskets, and you know, they weren't exactly in the best condition. They were used just because I had them. Now I've got some good rim flex gaskets, so I'm gonna replace them. But I love this car. This thing is just so badass. Yeah. Wah-bah! See, I just have RT torsion bars in this thing and RT leaf springs. The front torsion bars also has a bump spring set up to improve the handling, and it works awesome. Like, this thing rides so nice, but when you really want to cut some corners, then bump springs and bump stops take over. There's probably going to be stuff flying all around inside this car. no point even hammering it in first gear because it's just going to blow the tires off. Even second gear, watch. See? It blows the tires off. But it's fun. Tire smoke. I love it. It smells delicious. Alright. Let's go hit some on-ramps. That's why stiff suspension is okay for an autocross, because you're not going fast enough, and it's a parking lot. It's a pretty flat surface. Come on, give me the green. There's no one coming. But on an actual road course, there's... handles just as well as them at the same time. Oh, nearly. Calm down. Ooh, I smell them brakes. All right. I've been wheeling Patina for 2 weeks now since the end of that video, and I absolutely love this thing. I'm in love with it more now than I was before. The first time, the second time, like, you could almost consider this car Patina 3.0 between everything I've done to it, even my screw-ups. I'm human, but this car handles awesome with the addition of the ball joint drop brackets, the rear shocks, the rear sway bar. The AC blows ice cold. The whole car handles better even with the lower center of gravity on everything I've done. everything I've done to lighten the car between titanium bolts, lithium battery, bell housing, all that, everything combined, this car is amazing. It even cruises the highway awesome with the suspension I did with the bump springs, all that, and it even cruises quietly. Like this thing cruising down the highway, it's nice and comfortable and mellow, and even the woman tolerates it because of how quiet it is. But then the devil on my shoulder's going, hey, this thing's too damn quiet. You know, and then over here, he's like, hey, but the woman likes it. And so it's like, and he won. So Patina is going to get some upgrades, and I will show you right now. Oh yeah, Patina's getting set up with some cutouts. Gonna get some horsepowers back and make it sound mean as hell when I kick it in the ass. Next time on Junkerup. Like them spinning tires, Walter? Oh yeah, baby.
Are you kidding me? We did the walk first.